I think I'm going to start off by reading some comments of what freedom means to some people. I asked on Twitter that I'm scripting this video, and I don't usually script my videos. I script, I mean just loosely writing some notes that I will be including in the video. And I had asked that for this video that you tell me what freedom means to you. So I want to read out some of those first before I get into the meat of it. So Tashi-chan says, sadly, freedom is a luxury only offered to a few, or only few can afford. Parents, husbands, and families, if you're proud of how you allow, this video's going wonderfully already, your kids or wives to take their own life decisions and throw a fit if their choices are un-Islamic or unladylike, it isn't freedom, it's pure stupidity. Sweet Lemon Pot says, I dated a Sunni Muslim. He tried to take away my freedom from me, the freedom to ask critical questions about his religion, the freedom to support ex-Muslims, the freedom to be myself. Since he is no longer in my life, I have relished my freedom and enjoyed life so much more. Riyad Ali says, freedom and liberty are one of the few things in life that are worth dying for. The freedom to leave abusive, dysfunctional families, the freedom to start over and build your life from scratch, the freedom to choose who you want to spend your life with, or the freedom to spend the rest of your life alone. The freedom of seeing your children and your loved ones prosper and be happy one day before you lay down your life. The freedom to fight oppression, tyrants, and tyrannical ideologies. The freedom to educate and be educated and not have such. Yasa Anta says, freedom is the freedom to speak without repercussions. Mulhid Kuri says, freedom is being free to choose what you don't want to do without being afraid of consequences. Nana Smurf 9995 says, freedom for me is to have the only say in my mind, my body, my finance, and relationship. I can't quite put my ideas into words, but hopefully you can word them better than me. Well, Nana, I'm certainly going to try. So the premise, I don't know why I closed my book, the premise of this video is to explain something that I had gotten quite angry about a few days ago, and I understand that what I'm doing right now, like with this appearance, is very silly. Maybe I shouldn't dress like this, but I'm kind of in a weird mood. My mental health has been going up and down. The NHS is finally taking it seriously, and I have an appointment booked next week, so I need to take care of that. So this week we won't have a live stream, and I'm going to be a bit black and down, going through a bit of an emo bit right now. But a few days ago there was an incident, and I'm going to throw in a very heavily edited clip at some point in the video. There was an incident with one of my friends who had told me some news. I'm not going to say who, and I'm not going to say what the incident was, but I had gotten quite angry at the circumstance that she was describing to me. Go, listen, my shit has always been my shit. There's always gonna be shit with me. I've accepted it. I'm moving on. Like, there's just, my life has been problematic from the day that I was fucking born. Like, you could not have had a more divine birth than me. Like, I know I already posted it, but I'm gonna reiterate it. I was born on my due date in the first 10 days of Ramadan at iftar time. Like, bitch, my conception and my birth were immaculate, they were divine, and I'm the only proof there is for any kind of God because I am her, okay? Like, let's move on. But also, everything has been problematic since then. Like, my whole life has been upside down, so I've kind of, like, accepted it, and I'm just like, this is gonna be my life. I'm always gonna have a hard life. And it's just, we just gotta keep moving, you know? We just gotta keep moving, we just gotta keep doing shit. But you know what? My Aquarius fucking ass just doesn't acknowledge my problems as soon as they hit. So, like, I get to this point where I'm just, like, losing my fucking mind. Like, that's where I get. That's who I am right now. That's where I'm at. I'm just sitting in the fire that I've just built for myself. That's where I'm at. And I'll be fine tomorrow. I have shit to do tomorrow that will probably solve all of this, but I can't do anything now because it is 9:42 p.m. and nothing is open. I'm just gonna sit here, I'm just gonna angrily doodle, and I'll be fine. But also, I don't really know if I can post what I just said to you because it sounds very fucking angry. And I don't know if it's gonna be read wrong, but I kind of do want to post it. I might just screen grab it and just throw it on Twitter or throw it on YouTube just for, you know, an FYI, for your information for all those fucking idiots out there. So yeah, I don't exactly know. I am kind of considering it, but I need like someone who's a bit more calm than me to like tell me that it's fine. Like listen back to it. Is it fine? Because I don't want to edit any of it, and if it's just not fine, I'm just not gonna upload it. But like, yeah, I need confirmation because I can't tell at the moment. Like to me, it's fucking divine, but like, what do you think? Like, is it too much? Too little? Do I need to add more? I don't know.
Very vague, but it's not that important to the message that I want to share with you. Before I start going on, I do want to give a few disclaimers and a few prefaces. So disclaimer, I try really hard to not group people together. I try really hard not to generalize people, and I really don't want to do that. I don't want to do that in this video, and I hope that you don't feel that I'm doing that. I think that if my original rant in full was posted, you'd find that it was very generalizing and, in a sense, quite offensive to some people, which I honestly don't think I meant. I harbor no resentment towards specific groups of people. I harbor resentment towards really, really dumb, stupid things. And that's why I'm doing this video, because I feel like it's really important for me to address it personally and for this message to be shared on a broader spectrum. I think that this is a sentiment that is shared by quite a few people, and it's not easy to put together in words, so I'm going to try. And I hope that you hear my words and not just jump to assumptions, as many people do when I make videos, even though I do try really, really hard to be extremely clear with what I want to say and how I want to present myself. And from the past and from the multiple Twitter compilations that I've made about people freaking out over what I say, I think it's very clear that maybe attention spans is something that I have too much faith in. Because people take me out of context all the time, and people get really upset with me, and I polarize people, and I don't know how I feel about that. All I know is that I feel like I need to say something, and I do most of the time, and most of the time it backfires on me. But I think we all know by now the stubborn mule that I am. And I'm going to say what I want to say and what I mean, and that's what I want to achieve with this video. This video is addressed to no specific demographic in particular. It is only addressed to those who are born in freedom. And if I feel as though many of you don't understand the kind of privilege that that is. And I don't want to be condescending. I hate being condescending. I work with teenagers for a living. It's my profession, and I love it because I think that teenagers are just a microcosm of adults, you know, who are just finding themselves, and they are way more vocal about it because they are teenagers and they don't need to behave like adults. And I hate it when people are condescending to the children that I educate. I really, really hate it. And I really hate it when people are condescending to me. So I don't want this to come off as condescending, but I do, from the bottom of my being, feel as though some people who were born into freedom, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a bit. I feel as though some people who are born into freedom really don't understand the kind of privilege that they hold. And I really don't want to be, you know, the buzzword, BuzzFeed, you know, cultural appropriation, you have privilege, bitch. I don't want to be that person. But it is something I feel. And when my friend was describing the aforementioned circumstance that I will not disclose because I don't feel like it's necessary, it made me really angry. And there are very few things in this world externally, like there are many things internally that make me angry, like things that I've already experienced that make me angry, but there are very few things in this world that when they are brought to me make me angry. And I've mulled it over the last few days because I sent a bunch of voice messages to my friend who was really pumped that I had this opinion, but I decided to get a tone check from a few of my other friends because I like making, I know the people who can sort of ground me and who know me very well and understand where I'm coming from, and I like getting feedback from them, and I like seeing if they understand what I'm trying to get at rather than just simply picking up on the words that I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So I got tone checked by a few people in my circle, one of which is my best friend Alicia, another of which is Carl, who is now I'm only going to refer to as my father, and Jimmy, who now I'm only going to refer to as my gay husband. And they all kind of said the same thing, that we understand what you're trying to say, but we feel as though if you say this in the manner that you've presented to us, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. And I've taken a few days to sit on it, and I want to address it appropriately here. And that's why that whole recording is sort of heavily edited. I don't like heavily editing my things because I like keeping everything plain and honest and genuine on my channel. But I do think that the things that I said in those voice notes could be wildly misconstrued. And people already do that when my sentiments are, very clear. So I don't want to put that out into the world. And the only way it will get out is if I put it out myself in a fit of hysteria, or if one of those people that I deeply trust betray me, which at this point, I don't even know if that's going to happen. But y'all have your lives. I'm sure you had your reasons for doing that. I don't even know how to start this. I guess I'll start by explaining what freedom means to me and how I got here. No, we're not going to do that. Sorry. If this comes across as choppy and weird and I'm talking nonsense, it's because this is all one take and I'm not doing another take because depressed. So I think the reason that I got so angry with the story that was told to me through my friend is because I was deeply offended by what she told me that was going on. I was deeply offended that someone could abuse their own freedom like that. And it's very hard to get me to a point of offense where I'm angry, There are other things that people have done in the past and people do currently that offend me, but I'm not going to get angry about it. I'm not going to think too hard about it, and I don't generally. In the last month I've been called an orangutan. I've been called someone who's whitewashed and wants to be a white person. I've been called someone whose entire career, if you can call it this, revolved around being angry at my family. I've been told 101 things in the last few months that I feel like would break a lesser person, but I'm not a lesser person. So, sorry, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just in a weird mood. But this, I feel as though truly offended me because my experience with being unfree and now free was a really tough journey for me. And just to give you a full picture of what might happen in this video, I may cry because I'm in that mood. I'm in that mindset. I was literally crying at 6 a.m. this morning for no reason other than I was sad. There was no trigger. I was just sad. So just to make you aware of that, it might get a little weird and gross in a second. But I grew up in a circumstance that was not only a physical kind of prison, but also a psychological prison that still affects me, to this day, and I feel as though will affect me for the foreseeable future. And I don't even know how long that will be for. I've been through several courses of therapy. I've been through one course of antidepressants. I'm currently going through several different mental health issues, and it is all directly linked to the fact that I was not a free person. I was not born into a free circumstance or a free way of living. I was born into a cage, both physical and mental. And I think when you're born like that, it breaks you. And I have to come to terms with the idea that gonna cry. Am I gonna cry? No, I'm fine. I will always be broken in some sense. And people will say, oh no, you can heal and things like that. But if I were to, and I'm not going to, smash a mirror right here and I break it and then I pick up all the pieces and I glue them all together, there's always going to be pieces in there that are missing, and I have to be okay with that. And it really pisses me off when the proverbial mirror of certain people's freedom has never been smashed and they do their level best to destroy it. Like they do their level best to fuck it up when I wasn't given the choice to do that. Like I was just raised like that. I was born essentially smashed, and then I had to pick up all my pieces and then put them all back together. And to give you a better idea of that, aside from metaphorically, I I don't even, like, all the stories that I've told on my channel. Let's just say that. But to sum it up, I didn't get to choose what I could say, who I could talk to, who I could be friends with, who I could have as enemies, you know, who I could be obsessed with, what I could listen to, what I could read, you know, what I could learn, if I could learn, how I could, did I say how I could dress? How I could dress, to love, if love was a real thing, to explore the concept of love, to explore the concept of happiness, to, you know, evaluate all the mystery in the world and revel in it. I was never given those choices. I had to take those choices. And it has created very serious problems for me, reclaiming all of that. Serious problems in the form of no longer having a biological family who wants to be family with me, no longer being able to see the children that I raised by my own hand, to have a childhood of sorts. You know, I can't have that. It's gone. It's left me. I'm an adult that's sometimes behaves like a child because I didn't get one. I didn't fucking get one. And I'm angry about that. I'm always going to be angry about that. You know? Broken. I didn't get to have, you know, any kind of stability, but an imaginary one. Because my sense of stability was religion, which, as we all know now, there is no God. Maybe not. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and shade all your people that believe in God, because you can believe what you want. But for someone who built their entire mirror, you know, the metaphorical mirror of brokenness around God, and then had to break that myself, and it was really painful to do that, and then reconstruct it back into a normal square without the image of God there at all. I didn't get the, oh, there's a mystery in the world. Some people believe this, some people believe that. You know, you can believe whatever you want. I didn't fucking get that. I was only told, you believe this, and every other fucking crazy person in the world believes this, but you're right. And you better believe that you're right, or you're gonna burn in hell, and we might kill you for turning against us. And that is by no means an exaggeration. I have been told by a second party that if I was back home in Bangladesh, which we all know now, I am a purebred pedigree Bangladeshi. Sorry, I'm referring to my last video. Oh, just stay on point. I would have been burned alive by my family. That's what I have heard. Now that I have explained that, I think that I can try to fully express what I'm angry about. What I'm angry about is people who will try to be condescending towards me and to belittle my experience by saying that, but not everyone goes through that, and you're being mean to a set of ideas because of the poor experience that you had. I don't particularly think that my experience is an individual one. I think that the experience that I had, were to, you know, a greater extent or to a lesser extent, is a collective shared experience by people who leave the faith that I left, that being Islam. I genuinely think that, and I think there's evidence out there to be found if you are an open-minded person who is looking for that answer. When I share an experience, whether be it about me being almost arranged married behind my back, or be it my father's, you know, vitriol towards all kinds of people who weren't Muslims, or be that, you know, anything, my own, you know, awful thoughts about people of other faiths, of other lifestyles, that I used to hold because I was so ingrained in those things. And when I tell that story, and people who are born in freedom sort of strike up with their clean slated mirrors that have not been tarnished. Their freedom. They stand up and they tell me that I'm misguided for sharing my experience and feeling the way that I feel when my feelings are fully valid. And they tell me that I am misguided because I am broken. It offends me on a visceral level. My whole being is enraged by that. I think it's happened a few times where I've gotten angry at this specific incidents. These specific incidents around No Hijab Day, when, you know, a Caucasian woman wore a hijab and said she was representing cultures and celebrating cultures in favor of World Hijab Day. And it made me so angry because the hijab is not a cultural garment. It's a religious garment that has torn culture away from hundreds of countries, hundreds and thousands and millions of people. It has torn their culture away. And the ignorance of that angers me. When people tell me that I'm misguided for talking about my experience with Islam, and tell me that I'm just misguided because my experience was cultural, or I've been deluded by the media, or I'm being paid off when I'm literally just broke. It angers me because you sit there with your clean slate of freedom when I had to claw and fight for mine. I had to lose things that I never wanted to lose for mine, for the simple want of being able to choose minor things, at least here in the West. They're really big things in other countries. Because the concept of freedom that we have here in the UK, in the United States and other places, people don't have in other countries. They don't have that concept of freedom. Again, I don't want to dance around the issue. I don't want to condescend, and I don't want to berate, and I don't want to be angry at anybody, because being able to have freedom is also acknowledging that there is the freedom to choose what you want to believe and what you know, it's also the freedom to be ignorant and dumb and stupid. And, well, that's very irritating, if I might say so myself. You're free to do that because you have the freedom to. I just can't get behind this trend of supporting an idea that you don't fully understand. And I can't get behind this idea of literally shaming me and shaming others for simply sharing an experience that we genuinely felt. Like, I feel as though if any other kind of person from any other kind of community said that they had an experience about a certain thing, they would not be as ridiculed as I am and as people like me are for talking about our experiences with Islam. And I do think that the reaction from free-born people, I don't want to call them that, but I don't know how else to refer to them, this like really positive, well, negative response towards us, but positive response towards Islam from free-born people is born out of ignorance and this willingness to just not see the other side and not learn. And it really irks me. And that's all I really came out to say, is that I'm not a very easy person to offend. I'm not a very easy person to make angry. I literally have the patience of a saint. And I've had to, because of the circumstances that I was born into. I've had to be patient my whole life. But this, for some reason, every time it comes up, and it's like when you see a magic trick, you just can't unsee it. I keep seeing it. And it hurts. Like, it deeply hurts to be told that I'm wrong for feeling the way that I do. And that you're right, even though you don't know what you're talking about. And I think, in a way, it's kind of ridiculous to expect someone to understand why, when they've only ever known X. But us here on the Y need you to understand it. Need you to. Because us here on the Y have suffered a lot for what you have in X. We've suffered a lot to gain our freedom. And some of us are still suffering. And there's only really two ways I can be about it. Sad, because it's kind of inevitable, or angry, because I'm offended. Take from this what you will. Again, freedom is the freedom to do whatever you want. Be that remain ignorant or, hear the other side. I just hope that this makes any kind of a difference. And even if you can't respect me, even if you can't respect anybody for whatever they went through, please, at least respect your own freedom. Don't take what you have, freedom, for granted. Because not everybody has it, even though it seems as though it's a really simple thing. For me, I would go days without food, days without water, days without interacting with anybody to fight for what I have. I've said several times that if I could go back, I would do the exact same thing that I did. I would gain my freedom. But ultimately, my freedom is always going to be tarnished, because I was never born into it, and I've had to fight for it. And in a sense, I've sort of convinced myself that everyone needs to go through this really hard suffering to really appreciate the freedom that they have. But on the same level, I would never wish what I went through onto somebody else. I don't know. I'm gonna close out because I feel like I've spoken enough. I feel like I've cried enough. Please, don't take your freedom for granted. That's it. That's the message of the video. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.